we're talking about whole systems, we need to be speaking about the outer and the inner, and seeing how they constantly affect and shape and interrelate with each other. So we're not going to do whole systems that are about food, housing, money, the land, the water. You know, that's not whole system. That's a very partial system. We're not going to do whole systems that are about people's inner states of consciousness and conflict resolution, or just about group dynamics. When we talk about whole systems, we need to talk about all of these inner and outer, personal, relational, community, global, living systems, past and present. We need to really expand and be inclusive about what our system is. And the other kind of inclusivity, as it were, is what is conscious, what we can bring to mind, and a curiosity about what is out of awareness. What is it that might be running our system that we can't see? Because when we go there, we meet our inner defenses or our inner structures or our collective, inner or personal taboos that say, don't feel that, don't pick up that stone and look at what's underneath it. So that's my introduction, as it were, to what is the system. What is the system? It's inner, outer, across scale, across time, and both what's conscious and what's unconscious. And if we're not into this, probably more, for me, systems work is about always asking, and what are we leaving out now? What's being marginalized, even in our definition of what a system is? And if we don't start with that question and keep that question in mind, that bit that we're leaving out is the bit that's going to make our movement ineffective. That's the bit that's going to sabotage the changes that we want to make. And I feel like I've seen that repeatedly in people intending good things and actually creating a repetition or a replica of the system that they're trying to change. Partially, it doesn't mean that no good change has come from those organizations and movements, but actually, a change. So the one that I speak about a lot, if you're an environmental movement intending to prevent the burnout of the planet, but the people who are working in your movement are burning out, there's something about burnout that you haven't understood yet, and it's the shadow of your movement, and you won't heal the burnout of the planet until you understand the dynamics of burnout. So so here's a quite a long explanation of what I think healthy culture includes. A ground state which is relaxed. Stresses that come in, our first response, this is polyvagal theory as I understand it, is negotiate, communicate. If we can't resolve, conflict resolution, if we can't deal with the situation, or if it's a bigger physical existential threat, like there is danger, we'll try to flee, and then if we can't flee, we'll fight, and if we can't fight, then we freeze. So there's a hierarchy of stress responses, and all of this is part of healthy culture, because life is either challenging, sometimes dangerous, or we could say exciting and interesting, because these challenges also help us to grow and develop our confidence and our competence at dealing with life. So we need stress. Stress is not a bad thing, but in order for stress to be developmentally positive, there needs to be enough holding, enough competence. And if we get into a state, especially a freeze, where we've experience that state of terror, of existential threat to our being, there needs to be what I call the return path. And I believe if you look at indigenous cultures, traditional cultures, that sustained, relatively peaceful, relatively joyful existences where young people and adults and elders feel a sense of confidence and belonging, you'll find somewhere woven into what I would call their social technologies, the return path. And it may be a trance dance, it may be a grief ceremony, it may be a sweat lodge. You know, there's all these different ways that something that has overwhelmed your system to cope in the moment is taken by the healers and put into that ceremony, or those ceremonies happen every week, or, you know, at the changing of the season. So these structures are woven in to the rhythm and the routine of the people that we shake out. And we know now through Peter Levine and many other people's work, there's a physical element to releasing that internal state. There's often an emotional discharge, and there may be a cognitive element. So the cognitive element is something like we reinforce the belief that there is a way back. When something overwhelmed me, I'm held by something bigger: spirit, nature, the elders, the ceremony, my tribe, my people, my community, my family, and they help me to come back to a place of goodness and uprightness. So I shake that out, and now my system can relax again, and I'm back in a state of relaxed action, mobility, taking part, having fun, contributing, working, and digesting, rest and digest. So all of this for me is what healthy human culture includes, and that return path is absolutely essential to it.